Redemption arcs are tricky to get right because after building up a character for fans to despise, their minds will be hard to sway. A redemption arc takes an unlikable character and flips them around to slowly realize their wrongdoings and match their atonement to their sins. When done well, these arcs can change a character forever, making them fan favorites, such as Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
However, it is even more challenging to have a redemption arc in a movie because, unlike a TV show that can explore the development for multiple episodes, a movie needs to accomplish this in around 2 hours while focusing on other elements. But that's what makes redemption arcs in movies so impressive and satisfying. Having fans like an awful villain by the end of the movie is so rare, but they have the potential to steal the film when done right. Starting off with number 10, we have Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. Introduced as the villain in one of the greatest superhero movies, Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock is the main threat to Spider-Man in the movie. After his cybernetic arms take control of his mind, Otto goes on a rampage from murder, theft, and destruction, where he encounters Spider-Man. Hell-bent on completing his project to have the power of the sun in the palm of his hands, he becomes a rival to Spider-Man. While Otto wasn't in his right mind as a villain, he was still responsible for everything wrong that happened. Only when Peter revealed himself to Otto did he get some clarity and sacrifice himself to stop the reactor from exploding and killing them all. Even though he redeemed himself, it wasn't really an arc. He came to his senses and atoned for his actions. Either way, the superb acting by Alfred Molina and the in-depth writing help make Doc Ock the best Spider-Man villain.
Number 9, Nux from Mad Max, Fury Road. In Mad Max, Fury Road, war boys serve as Immortan Joe's servants and soldiers, indoctrinated into believing in Valhalla and noble death. Nux is one of the war boys, with his only goal being to please Immortan Joe by capturing Furiosa and getting back the wives. To do this, Nux does horrible things to Max, Furiosa, and the wives, but ultimately fails. However, after forming a special bond with capable and embarrassing himself in front of Immortan Joe, Nux starts to help Max and Furiosa. Having someone actually care for him goes a long way, and so his redemption begins when he gets the truck out of the mud. His redemption is complete when he flips the tanker, defeating some remnants of the Citadel and blocking the path for the group to escape. Tom Hardy as Max may have been the star, but Nux, the war boy, forced his way into fans' hearts through his touching story of redemption. Number 8, Lieutenant Gorman from Aliens. While Gorman in Aliens wasn't a villain, his ineptitude could be described as villainous. Despite being the battalion's commanding officer, he didn't have much experience, hurting the group in a severe situation. His inexperience led countless soldiers to their deaths while he could only watch in horror, but luckily, a container knocked him unconscious, and Ripley took command. Getting knocked out was the wake-up call Gorman needed. He realized he wasn't in charge anymore, which lifted that burden and allowed him to finally gain some experience. Gorman finally worked up some courage and helped save Ripley and Newt from being impregnated by facehuggers. With him and Vasquez injured and surrounded by xenomorphs, he sacrificed himself to take down a horde of aliens. Many fans didn't expect a story of redemption in one of the scariest alien movies, but Gorman proved to be an interesting character.
Number 7, Ivan Drago. There isn't a more infamous villain in the Rocky franchise than Rocky IV's Ivan Drago. As a puppet for the Soviet government, Drago was simply a robotic boxing machine with only one thing on his mind: win, no matter the cost. However, the cost of his fight against Apollo Creed was too large, with Drago killing him in the ring and showing zero sympathy for the boxer. Despite his evil deeds in Rocky IV, Drago's redemption doesn't come until Creed II, when he has his son challenge Adonis Creed. The movie humanizes the character, with his son Victor being crucial in changing Ivan. When Ivan loses to Rocky, the nation shuns him, and they crawl back to him only now because of Victor's fight. With Victor getting badly beaten, Ivan throws in the towel, bringing him to understand what is right, and halfway through his redemption arc, while his redemption wasn't completed, Seeing it go halfway with the promise of completing it off-screen is very interesting. However, Dolph Lundgren discussed a Drago spin-off that could further redeem the character.
Number 6. Boromir from The Lord of the Rings. While Boromir isn't exactly a villain in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, he certainly does show villainous tendencies when corrupted by the ring's power. He gets increasingly aggressive throughout the film, even attacking Frodo to try and get the ring, breaking trust within the group. Boromir is responsible for Frodo running away and potentially causing danger on the quest. A deleted scene from The Two Towers gives more context to Boromir's motivations as the burden of responsibility forced him to take action in retrieving the ring. His relationship with Merry and Pippin helps show his good side, and when he has time to reflect on his wrongdoings, he finally realizes he needs to change. The brilliance in his redemption is that he doesn't save Frodo, but Merry and Pippin, two seemingly useless civilians, show Boromir's selfless and kind nature to help anyone in danger by sacrificing himself.
Number 5. Roy Batty from Blade Runner. Roy Batty, one of the 4 replicants Deckard needs to destroy in Blade Runner, serves as their leader for the rogue replicants. He displayed psychotic and unstable tendencies on his quest to meet his creator and give him more time to live. While being hunted by Deckard, Roy Batty murders multiple innocent people, including Sebastian and Chew, proving himself to be unstable and dangerous. In a twist ending, Roy saves Deckard from falling off a building, and while this doesn't redeem him for everything he's done, his final beautiful and improved monologue gives context before his death. In a world where he has seen death everywhere, he still sees the beauty in the world and humans, wishing to be remembered so as not to disappear into nothingness. Roy saves the man trying to kill him the entire movie after finally understanding human emotion and memories, wishing to be like that.
Number 4, Nebula from Marvel Cinematic Universe. Playing the savage and chaotic sister to Gamora and daughter to Thanos, Nebula proved to be a hindrance to the Avengers and Guardians throughout the MCU. Constantly losing to Gamora, Thanos would replace her body parts with cybernetic parts. This torture took her down a path of revenge and hatred with a losing complex. Being an expert killer, she seemed far beyond redemption until Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Her second appearance finally gave her time to grow and speak with Gamora, giving her insight into her past. The sisters make amends, and Nebula gains the new goal of killing Thanos, showing clear development but still leaning on old methods. However, Avengers Endgame paired her with Tony Stark, where she would get her first taste of winning, even if it was just a paper football game. Time traveling allowed her to look at her old self and reflect and make a change, which is visible in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Originally meant to be killed off in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the villainous Nebula underwent a beautiful transition into redemption and eventually became one of the most likable characters in the MCU with the best redemption arc.
Number 3. Darth Vader from Star Wars franchise. James Earl Jones brought life into Darth Vader and helped make him one of the most iconic villains in cinematic history. But this villain is known for his unscrupulous evil deeds, from genocide to youngling slaughter. Living a rough life before becoming a Jedi, Vader would betray the Jedi Order for a chance to save the ones he loved. Unfortunately for him, he lost everything in the process and turned to the dark side, where he would become a tyrant of the galaxy.
Ash is right, while Darth Vader doesn't get a proper redemption arc, he does redeem himself in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Seeing the Emperor electrocute his son, Luke, finally leads to Vader turning to the light side again and killing Palpatine, ultimately freeing the galaxy from authoritarian rule. Of course, this one major act of goodness doesn't make up for anything he did, but sometimes characters can't be fully redeemed, and what's best for the redemption arc is to die doing the best they can.
Number 2, Severus Snape from Harry Potter franchise. Set up as a stuck-up and angry teacher in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Severus Snape continued to act as a villain in the Harry Potter franchise. Snape also held a grudge against Harry and his dad because of his love for Lily, painting him in an even worse light. However, his worst act was being a loyal Death Eater to Lord Voldemort, helping him on his dark journey of evil, including the deaths of Lily and James. Distraught over his evil deeds, Snape decides to help Dumbledore protect Harry from Voldemort when he returns. Snape spied on Voldemort and protected Harry from Lupin's werewolf in a final redemption, where his past and truth were revealed in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Snape is still pretty creepy even with his redemption arc, but the character is highly complex and has become a fan favorite since his sacrifice. And number 1 and last, we have the Grinch. The Grinch may not have done as nearly as bad things as the rest of the people on this list, but stealing Christmas is a crime unlike any other. Angry and upset with all the joy he doesn't get to experience, the Grinch decides to ruin everyone's joy and steal Christmas by taking their presents, eating their food, and destroying their ornaments. In a twisted act of revenge, the spiteful old Grinch only wants to see men, women, and children suffer. There's even a whole song about how bad he is. Christmas seems to be the time of redemption, with A Christmas Carol and How the Grinch Stole Christmas having some of the most iconic redemptions. While Ebenezer Scrooge could have easily been number 1 on this list, the Grinch has evolved with many different interpretations over the years. With the whole story being about redemption, the Grinch has plenty of time and nuance to grow. Fans learn why he is the way he is, and after witnessing the Who's still celebrating joyfully without anything, his heart grows 3 sizes and returns everything. By the end of the film, he finally accepts others who also accept him in the ultimate tale of redemption.